Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks and Stang, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. Today I'm coming at you guys with a deck profile for Gimmick Puppets. This is my take on it currently as things stand with the new support that we received. It did do justice for the archetype. It allowed the deck to have a higher ceiling naturally. The deck had an awkward and unorthodox playstyle. It had a really awkwardly high ceiling in certain matchups, but there are other decks like Sky Strikers that really the deck struggles against. With Bistall, it definitely helps a lot more, so that there's very few and little things that they can do to stop you. But for me personally, I enjoy the rank up build the most. The rank up build for me was the funnest. It was the most explosive. It also could break boards way more effectively than any other build could. Now I'm talking about as a pure variant. Now you can play Danger Gaming Puppets, you can play Orcus. Definitely probably the most competitive and viable variant would be the Danger Orcus Gaming Puppet deck, because we know the ceiling of Dangers is very high, and we know that Orcus is definitely cutting up in the meta scene, and they are the most powerful meta engine as things stand. But as a pure deck, I feel that the rank up build, especially taking advantage of a card like Numeron's Force, which is mixed up somewhere in my deck, but we'll find it. But the Numeron's Force itself is really what gets the job done most of the time, for the simple fact that this card can actually just negate an entire field. All card effects on pretty much every card on the field aside from it and the monster it's summoning. That really helps you to deal with the Thunder Dragon matchup, and once you're baiting the gates and you can't break the board completely in the middle of getting into your rank up play, you can use Numeron to negate, the Colossuses and things of that nature, and the Dingirsus. Then you can destroy their monsters by passing protection and just, pretty much slaughtering them. The deck is really effective with OTKs. It's a rank 8 turbo deck, so turn 1 it can put up cards like Photon Lord and Hope Harbinger, Titanic Galaxy, things of that nature. It's a decent deck. It's really fun, and in the right hands it can definitely see competitive viability. It just depends who play it. Me personally, I'm a guy who believes any deck has potential. Most people that say a deck doesn't have potential probably haven't tried it out, but definitely I recommend that you try out Puppets as an archetype, because like I said, the new support definitely raised the ceiling of the deck. So let's get into my list. So we played 3 Jury Doll, the best card in the deck. She essentially is how you grind, how you maintain your resources, and keep up with these decks. So this is like, think of it like, it's pretty much like your Symbol Skeleton, pseudo, except you just consistently summons herself from the grave every time, you banish a puppet from your graveyard to do it for cost. And she's not once per turn on activation, so you can actually loop your Jury Dolls a lot. It just depends on how sufficient your resources were upon setting up for her, but she definitely is the best puppet because she has the longevity that the deck really needs. And that's how you're gonna force on negations, because oftentimes this card does get negated, and because it's not once per turn, you can just use it again and again and again. And next up, one of the newer cards, we played 3 copies of Bistall. Now Bistall is definitely a needed card because this deck's weakest matchup definitely would have been Sky Strikers. I feel this deck has a better chance against combo decks than it does against anything else, because this playstyle is built to interact with explosive boards. Like, this deck wants you to go off, and that's the thing. Anybody that plays Puppets understands that. You guys know how this deck works. It wants you to go, it wants you to go ham. This deck wants you to put up insane boards because it interacts specifically with monsters. Strings and Grinder and all your other Gimmick Puppet cards interact specifically with monsters. So with Sky Strikers being a prevalent deck, being able to protect your cards from being targeted by Widow Anchor is really powerful. It stops impermanence, Widow Anchor, and Effect Veiler. Next up, we played 3 Magnet Doll. Like I said, this deck it's an archetype with a lot of extenders. Like Magnet Doll's an extender, Bistall is an extender, Jury Doll's the best extender. It's a rank 8 toolbox that also can put up rank 4, so you can play turn 1 Dwellers, Abyss Dwellers, Baguskas. It depends on your extra deck's composition, essentially, what deck choices you made. And then I also played 3 copies of Gearspring Spirit. So Gearspring Spirit is kind of like a Gimmick Puppet in a way, even though it's not. What it does is it summons itself from the graveyard while you control only machine types in your graveyard, minimum 1, which this is an archetype full of machines. I don't play any non-machines. That's why this is a really good card in this archetype. It is a free summon as a level 8. It's not hard once per turn to summon. It has another effect that helps with your OTK strategy, where you can target a monster on the field and make its attack 0. That's really impressive if you had cards like Limit Removal and Googly Drum Dragon. That's how I did it back in 2013. I would just use this target monster to make it 0, Googly Drum, Limit Removal, make him AK, and just swing for AK into a 0 attack monster. So Gearspring Spirit is another card that baits negates, because realistically nobody wants their monster to go to 0 because it just makes them feel like something is coming that they won't be able to stop, like a double or nothing play. So it's a really good card for baiting negates. It's not once per turn and anywhere in its card text, so you can just drop them like they're hotcakes. And these are your rank 8 enablers. These are what are going to set up your rank 8s in your turn 1 plays, or your, when you're going second. Ideally, this deck is a lot more powerful going second, and it really was a going second deck to begin with when it came out as an archetype. Next up, I played 2 copies of Destroy. His name is literally Destroy, but they just put a gap in between Des and Destroy. But he really is Destroy, which he's a great card. He really is a great starter and an extender at the same time. And the mirror match, which, who knows if there ever would be a mirror match, but in the mirror match, he actually is a good card because you can destroy a Gimmick Puppet on the field. If he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special up to 2 Gimmick Puppets from your hand, which is really good. Like I said, this is an archetype full of extenders. It has a lot of gas, and it's extremely explosive. This was one of the most explosive decks in its era. This was an era where XYZ decks were prime, like they're in their prime, like, Heraldic archetypes, Heraldic Beasts, Fire Fists, even Mermails were an XYZ deck. Like, there were a lot of XYZ archetypes at that time. Geargus, if you guys played at that time. So Gimmick Puppets were like the anti-meta of the meta when I played them, and I played them competitively. I played them in Heralds. Next up, we played 2 copies of Egghead. Now, he can discard a Gimmick Puppet for cost to either increase his level to 8, or you can just burn your opponent for 800. This deck does do a lot of burn damage as well, so it can be really good in time. And it's good for just pushing, especially if you have a deck that paid half for like Solemn Judgment or Destrudo. It's really, really easy for this deck to kill. 2 copies of Gear Changer. Gear Changer can modify his level to be the level of any other Gimmick Puppet on your field. And then we play 2 Humpties. He's another extender, really good to dump him off of like a Bistal and just trigger him off of Junk Puppet and go off, because he could just special any Gimmick Puppet from your hand if he's no more special. And then more extenders. Like I said, this deck is just all gas. All it does is special summon. Every single monster you'll see, except for Egghead and Gear Changer, all special summon themselves in some way, shape, or form. Terror Baby, when normal summon, is like a wolf bark for the archetype. It can just, special summon a Gimmick Puppet from graveyard. Its best effect is its graveyard effect, where you can banish this from your grave, similar to Bistal. You can banish it. Your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects in response to your Gimmick Puppet monster effects. So when you're going second and you can get this card in graveyard, that's pretty much the game plan. It almost made me want to play 3 of this, but I didn't want those brick hands. So effectively, if you were to use Bistal to discard this from graveyard to special Bistal, you're going to banish this from grave. And what's going to happen is either A, they're going to negate it, or B, it's going to resolve, and then they can no longer negate anything. So it's a really good card, and because this archetype's so weird, most people wouldn't know what to negate and how to interact with this deck. And yeah, it's incredible, this card. And I'm going to show you somewhere on its text where it's pretty much just going to show you that there are no restrictions. It doesn't say you can only activate 1 per turn. So you can banish another baby that same turn if they couldn't negate it, and then you could just go off. And that's the only monsters I play, are just the puppets. Like I said, this is a pure rank up build. Like I said, Danger Orcus is a really good variant, but what I'm showing you guys is pure. The deck is really good pure as well. For the spells, we played 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. I also, since I played so many targets, I did play 3 copies of Trade-In. You really do have 12 Trade-In targets. You play 12 level 8s in this deck, so it's live a lot of the times, and the deck does have really good deck bending capabilities. I played 3 Pot of Desires as well. It's another great bait for negations going second. It's a card that will always be negated, because no one wants you to draw 2 cards. It's just how it is. And the other thing that I played 3 of is 3 copies of Machine Duplication. This card is really like godly in this deck, I must say, because your machine dupe target. So if you read Machine Duplication, it literally says a monster with 500 or less attack. So what you can continue to do is just bring back a Jury Doll from your graveyard, activate Machine Dupe target and Jury Doll, and you can put both those Jury Dolls from your deck onto your field. Another Machine Dupe target is Humpty Dumpty, Gear Changer. It even made me want to play 3 Gear Changers at one point in time. And the other thing is, if Gearspring Spirit didn't have the restriction, you could Machine Dupe for Gearspring. But you do play multiple Machine Dupe targets, is pretty much the point I'm getting at. A card that I value over Machine Dupe is actually Infernal Reckless Summon, which I used to play back in the day. And with so many people having extra deck monsters in their field, and link zones being needed to summon from the extra deck, Infernal Reckless Summon can sometimes be a pseudo soul charge that has no drawback, because your opponent wouldn't be able to summon anything from their extra deck off of the Reckless. So I definitely, if I had Reckless, I would just play it over this, because Reckless needs a monster with 1500 or less, whereas this is just 500. But Machine Dupe is really good, and it's always going to be negated as well, because it's a really, really powerful card. So yeah, triple Machine Dupe. Another card that I really like in this archetype is 2 copies of Mystic Mind. It was definitely going to be 3, but I lent one of my Mystic Minds to a teammate that still has not given me my cards back. So 2 Mystic Minds. What Mystic Mind does in this deck is actually a really cheesy win condition that I do. So if you guys didn't know, Gimmick Puppets also have their own archetype specific Exodia-esque win condition. It's Gimmick Puppet of Leo. Now, how this card works is you have to have no cards in your spell or trap zone. Well, fun fact, a field spell zone is not a spell or trap zone. Your spell or trap zone is these 5 here. A field spell zone is a completely different zone. So you can actually just stall for 3 turns with Mystic Mind and Leo. Because what Leo does is he detaches a material, puts a destiny counter on himself, and once he has 3 destiny counters, you win the duel automatically. So when you're going second, if you're playing against decks that don't have any back row removal, no way to stop this card, especially when you Numerons force their board, you can summon Leo and just sit on Mystic Mind and every turn detach a material from him. And your opponent has 3 turns to draw into an out or they lose. So yeah, it's a really cheesy win condition, but either way, Mystic Mind is another good card to bait out negations and help your plays to go through. So yeah, it really helps. And whenever you want to turn Mystic Mind off, you can actually Numerons force your own Mystic Mind, which is, you know, it's pretty nice. Next up, I played 2 copies of Junk Puppet. Now, it's a good card. It's a theme. It's an archetype-specific themed Monster Reborn. Honestly, I was just going to play one of it in one Monster Reborn, but then I just decided, like, I like the artwork of it, so I was going to play 2, right? And theoretically, if it gets negated, you can activate another one, because you can only activate once per turn, not you can only use one. And then, for the final card I play at multiples, it's 3 Numerons Force. I only have 1, but I'm proxying the other 2. It's the only rank up that I want to play in this list, but also I considered Quick Chaos for the OTKs you can do with it, because you can rank up in battle phase, and you know, there's a lot of shenanigans. You can also use Quick Chaos as a trap, so if I had Quick Chaos, I'd probably play those 2, but it'd be like more like a 3 and 2 ratio, because opening rank up spells doesn't really hurt in this deck, because you can put out rank 8s pretty effectively. The other card that I play as a one-of was Foolish Burial, because it gives you quick access to Terror Baby, so you can banish it and stop your opponent from interacting with you. Or if you're playing Strikers, you want to send Bistal, Banisher, and your opponent can no longer target your puppets the entire turn. So Veiler, Impermanence, and Widow Anchor are all turned off, which is, you know, really competitive cards. So moving forward to the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Chimera Doll, which is an insane link monster for this deck. It definitely did justice. It helped this archetype out a lot. Like this deck really needed a card like this. This card helps you for your grinds. You want to play 3 ideally, but instead of the 3rd, I played 1 P4 Genius, because I wanted a generic Link 2 that had down point arrows. Well, not generic, pseudo generic. That would also not restrict me to only summoning puppets, so that if someone made me go first, I can make this board turn 1. 2 negates is better than none. So Lord and, you know, Titanic Galaxy is a board that you can get to very consistently with this deck because of how explosive it is. And also, Cleave for Genius is really good for baiting negates going second. You could obviously just summon Bistal, use Genius, target Doll, and another card negate it, and, you know, just link off and then go into your Chimera Doll, and you could just keep going from there. Also, when you machine dupe and summon 2 in Cleave for Genius's zone, because it's simultaneous, you can search a level 5 or higher machine, which is really good. So Cleave for Genius is actually really nice in this archetype. We also played my rank up targets. I played 1 of each, even though theoretically multiples come up in certain scenarios. I just really enjoyed having 1 of each, because they all do come up. Even though some of them come up multiple times, they all come up. So I just felt that instead of playing like 3 of this and none of this, or 1 of this and 2 of this, I just wanted to play them all. So Disaster Leo is a really strong card. It can be targeted, and pretty much what it has is a really cool effect. So like, when you have a little to no material Leo, you can actually cheese, especially because people are paying half of Destrudo, Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgments, things of that nature. What Leo does is, while he has no material and your opponent has 2,000 or less life points, you just win the duel. So he's another win condition. And you can just burn for 1,000. So yeah, he's really good, even under Mystic Mind. And then Dark Strings is probably my favorite. It's the most dangerous rank up play in this deck. What happens is, if he's special summoned, which gives more value to Junk Puppet because he doesn't have to be ranked up to get his effect. If he's special summoned, you can destroy all monsters on the field with string counters. Now, Gimmick Puppet of Strings is the card that's going to establish string counters on your opponent's monsters. And what it does is it destroys all those monsters with string counters. You draw a card, and you also burn your opponent for damage, effect damage, for the highest attack monster that was on the field. So if your opponent had a 4K monster, they get burned for 4K. So this deck punishes you for putting out explosive, dangerous boards. So yeah, Dark Strings is a really, really strong card. It's a problem because you can also summon a second copy of Little Strings, put string counters on your opponent's monsters, and you can Junk Puppet, target this in graveyard as long as it was validly summoned the correct way in the first place, bring him back off Junk Puppet because he is a Gimmick Puppet and he's a valid target, and you can just nuke your opponent's board all over again because it's if he's special summoned. So he's my favorite Rinka play. He's the most dangerous one. Definitely wins in time. And the other one that's really good too is Giant Hunter. He can just destroy a card on the field. If it's a monster, you burn for the original attack of it. And one of the most dangerous Gimmick Puppets in the archetype because of this format and everyone putting up XYZs, the Lunalite Orcus deck, Pure Orcus, Salmon Greats, you know, everybody's summoning XYZs these days is Giant Grinder. Now what Giant Grinder does is he can detach, and he's not once per turn. You can detach up to 2 materials, up to twice per turn. You can detach to target a special summon monster on the field, and I believe it's on the field or it's yeah, that your opponent controls, and you destroy it. If it's an XYZ monster, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. Now, that's really strong because Dingirsus has 2600 attack. You can actually force out both Dingirsus detaches off of one Giant Grinder. You can burn, you know, like pop Abyss Dweller, pop other cards. You can just burn for time with this card. So, like, you can just detach 2, theoretically, pop 2 XYZs, burn, rank up into this, detach, pop again, and just burn for game without even going into battle phase. So, yeah, I really like all of them. And Leo's the one I already explained. He's like Exodia. You still want to play him.